In the next few minutes, we're not just going to reveal the doctor's stunning admission about XU KAl recovery. That alone is incredible. We're going inside the ICU, a battlefield of bone and blood, to witness the almost mythological battle for his life. But what you really need to stick around for are the mind-blowing out-of-body experiences XU KAl described to his doctor. Visions from the final seconds of the flight that defy all explanation and could change everything we know about life, death, and the very nature of reality. From the cockpit's silent terror to a flash of light that saved his soul, you cannot click away. This is the truth behind the impossible. This is the epic tale of XU KAl. The world stopped on a Tuesday. The day Flight 714, a sleek state-of-the-art Boeing Dreamliner, vanished from radar screens over the desolate mountain range of the Dragon's Tooth. For 24 hours, the globe held its breath, suspended in that agonizing silence that follows unthinkable tragedy. The official announcements were grim, the recovery efforts heartbreaking. The final count was inescapable, a catastrophic loss of life, a dark scar across the history of aviation. But then the murmur began. A whisper in the wreckage. A doctor in a small provincial hospital, Dr. Lin, a man of precise science and unyielding skepticism, was forced to make an announcement that tore a hole through the settled narrative of despair. There was a survivor. One man. XU KAl. XU KAl was not just a name on the passenger manifest. He was a rising star in the world of quantum physics, a man who dealt in the abstract, the theoretical, the unseen forces that govern the universe. Ironically, it was the raw, brutal force of the crash that delivered him, a living, breathing paradox, into the hands of a bewildered medical team. Dr. Lin's first press briefing was stark. He was in the ICU. Multiple fractures. Massive internal trauma. A miracle he was alive, yes, but he was far from well. The world absorbed this. The miracle was contained, a broken artifact of a greater disaster. Yet, beneath the sterile white sheets and the rhythmic beep of the life support machines, a different story was unfolding. A narrative so compelling, so riddled with moments of pure, unfiltered human spirit on display drama, that it would ultimately overshadow the tragedy itself. The first breakthrough, the moment Dr. Lin knew this was more than a medical case study, came not from a decreasing fever or a normalizing blood pressure, but from a flicker in XU KAl's eyes. Weeks after the crash, after surgeries that pushed the boundaries of modern medicine, XU KAl awoke. The doctor, expecting confusion and pain, was met with a gaze that was disturbingly calm, almost incandescent. He asked for a pen and paper, Dr. Lin recounted later, his voice still tinged with awe. He couldn't speak, his jaw was wired, but his eyes, they were screaming 1,000 words. XU KAl's first written words were not a plea for his family, nor a question about the crash. They were a single cryptic sentence. The silence was the loudest sound. This began the series of therapy sessions that felt more like a professor interviewing an oracle. XU KAl, the physicist who had stared into the void, began to write down his experiences, not just of the crash, but of the time after the plane broke apart, a period he referred to as the moment of unity. His recovery in the ICU was a masterclass in human resilience, a chapter of pure, nail-biting medical drama. Every day was a battle. A collapsed lung, a secondary infection, the fight to keep his brain swelling down, each crisis was a scene of its own. Nurses and doctors, weary from the constant onslaught of trauma cases, rallied around the miracle man, fueled by the almost supernatural will radiating from his prone body. One nurse described an evening where his heart rate plummeted. As the crash cart was wheeled in, XU KAl's hand, seemingly by pure thought, reached out and gripped her wrist. His eyes met hers, and the heart monitor instantly corrected itself, a smooth, steady line returning to the screen. Pure theater, pure terror, pure triumph. This was the first of the mind-blowing scenes, moments where the rational medical reality seemed to bend to the sheer force of his inner spirit. But the real revelations lay in the words he painstakingly wrote. XU KAl's memory of the moments before impact was horrifyingly lucid, a cinematic descent into chaos. He described the gut-wrenching, sickening weightlessness as the aircraft first plunged, the terrible collective gasp of 241 people who knew their fate, followed by the terrifying, profound silence as they reached terminal velocity. The scream died, he wrote, and was replaced by the roar of the air tearing the fuselage apart. In that second, we were all one consciousness, pure, unadulterated terror, shared by every soul. No past, no future, only the perfect, terrifying now. Then came the description of his impossible survival. He was in seat 23A near the wing. The plane, according to investigators, broke into 3 major sections. XU KAl theorized that the sheer centrifugal force of the plane's rotation, a terrifying corkscrewing motion, had ripped his section of the fuselage clean off moments before the main impact. He was strapped to a fragment of the cabin wall, essentially flung like a stone from a sling into the muddy earth moments before the main catastrophic explosion. "I didn't crash," he scrawled. "I was ejected. I was a projectile." But the physics of his escape, as incredible as they were, paled in comparison to his account of what happened next. This is the testimony that has Dr. Lin questioning his entire life's work. This is the mind-blowing core of the story. XU KAl described an out-of-body experience, but not the gentle, floating cliché. As his broken body lay in the muddy, silent crater, he claims his consciousness ascended. "I saw the world," he wrote, "not in 3D but in pure data. The air was a shimmering weave of radio waves, cell signals, and thermal energy. The plane's wreckage was a sudden hole in the pattern." He then described seeing the crash through the eyes of others. He saw the pilot, flight captains were in the final desperate moments. Captains were, XU KAl wrote, was not panicking. He was fighting. He was grappling with a sudden, inexplicable control system failure, a digital revolt within the aircraft's brain. The captain's mind was a fortress of focus. He knew it was over, but he was trying to save one life, just one. His final thought was a single word: hold. And here is the most astonishing, unexplainable scene. XU KAl described a flash of pure gold-white light. Not a divine presence, he insisted, but a form of energy. A moment where the quantum field seemed to reset around him. "The light did not heal me," he explained. "But it stabilized the field. It wrapped around the broken part of my reality, keeping the energy of myself intact. I felt a pull back, a gravitational tether to my physical form, like a rubber band snapping back to its anchor point." This quantum stabilization is what XU KAl, the physicist, believes saved him from dissolving into the ether. It's an idea that has rocked the foundation of his former colleagues, a mind-blowing synthesis of survival horror and theoretical physics. He didn't just survive the physical trauma, he survived the existential one. Dr. Lin, a man of empirical evidence, initially dismissed the visions as trauma-induced hallucinations. But as XU KAl's physical recovery accelerated, a pace that defied all medical precedent, the doctor started to see the pattern. His healing speed wasn't linear, Dr. Lin admitted. It was exponential. The bone density returned faster than a marathon runner's. The internal scarring vanished. It was as if his body was rejecting the very concept of illness. He was doing very well, getting better after ICU, but the how was the problem. It was too fast, too perfect. The final, truly captivating scene of his recovery involved his memory. XU KAl hadn't just retained his own memories, he had pieces of the collective memory of the flight. He could hum a snatch of the song the flight attendant in first class was listening to seconds before the fall. He could sketch a small, almost imperceptible crack he saw on the wing panel that was never reported. He even drew a perfect, technically accurate diagram of the control failure captains was struggling with, a piece of evidence that the official investigation later admitted was uncannily accurate. XU KAl, the miracle man, was not just a survivor, he was a living, breathing black box recorder, a repository of the flight's final, desperate moments. His body may have been broken by the world's most catastrophic physics, but his mind had been opened by a force he couldn't explain. As he prepares for discharge, walking with a steady, determined gait that should have been impossible for months, the real story begins. The recovery from the ICU was the physical battle. The greater war is the one he now faces, to convince a skeptical world that his survival was not just a medical fluke but a quantum event, a glimpse behind the veil, a moment where the laws of the universe bent just enough to save one life and in doing so offered the rest of humanity a terrifying yet exhilarating new vision of what it means to be alive. The silence was the loudest sound, and in that silence XU KAl found the secrets of the universe. And now he's ready to talk. If this story of impossible survival, quantum recovery, and the sheer force of human will blow your mind, you know what to do. Hit that like button, share this video with a friend who loves an unbelievable survival story, and subscribe to the channel for more deep dives into the limits of human experience. But first, I want to hear from you. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Do you believe XU KAl was truly conscious and commanding his healing, or was it just a coincidence? If his consciousness did leave his body, what do you think he saw at the moment the plane hit the ground? What scientific breakthrough do you think will come from studying XU KAl's unexplainable recovery? Let me know in the comments.